I always wonder what's the best way to do these videos. If I should be, stand up, or if I should sit down. What looks the best, and what works the best. I hope you'll like, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions or ideas, ways that I can make the videos better, should I use the computer, the board, should I just talk, or just give me an idea of what your thoughts are. So I want to talk about I want to talk a little about the right to travel. And I want to talk about tender love. So here's the thing I want to talk about: the right to travel. I think a lot of times that we, because of the way we were taught, oftentimes we say, government and religion. Government and religion. But religion is another government. Or government, another, either or. Government is another religion. It's just a type of religion. They have profits. Their profits are, money. They may call themselves a non-profit municipal corporation, or something like that. But the first four letters of municipal are M-U-N-Y, money, and the first five letters of I should say maybe the first five letters of county or count, C-O-U-N-T, right? And then you got municipal, which is M-U-N-Y, so it's count money. You turn people into counts. And they're sucking you dry. Religion is another form of government. I mean, they have laws, right? But anyways, and they both have their thing called tax and tithing to, is pay for their benefits. It's called tithing if you pay for heaven's benefits, and it's called tax if you pay for government's benefits. The church has you pay so that you have blessings in heaven, and or get to go to heaven, or get the best part of heaven. And the government does the same thing. But they make you pay. The way the government does it is something though, man. It's a free country, and then there's income tax, there's gas tax, there's property tax, there's county tax, state tax, municipal tax, death tax, estate tax, capital gains tax, clothing tax. Some states actually have food tax. Going out to eat dinner with your family tax. It's a free country though. Rules, laws, regulations, codes, statutes. It's a free country. You just got to pay and behave. You just got to be owned. It's a free country. You just have to pay for your enslavement. That's all. Oxymoron. Anyways, so this thing with the government, right? So they say that, the government has this right to travel. Now, naturally, in the natural day-to-day, what do they say? What's the expression? In the natural course of business, to transport yourselves and your property and your family and stuff, where you want to go to get some food, or go see some family, or go to the doctor, or go to the church, or go to, you know, go do something fun with your family on a vacation, or go to, you know, different kinds of things, activities, get-togethers, all this kind of thing. You would have the natural right to go someplace if you're on a, you know, you know, it doesn't, I mean, that's just, you just have a natural right to be able to do the things that you need to do, and because of the way the world is, you know, things are far apart, you know. And so you know, you got to have a way to get around, and naturally you would have the right to do that. The government wants people to take the government's license for you to be its savior. Now the government has profits, and it talks about lies and sins, a license, right? And then they want you to have their license, but they want you to take on their license and save them, and the only way you can save the government is to pay them, because the government doesn't exist if you don't pay them to be your enslaver. So they enslave their own savior for profits. Now, how do you know it's all about savior? Well, Washington, D.C. got its land from Virginia and Maryland, right? Virgin Mary. Virginia, Virgin, and Maryland, Mary. Virgin Mary. And so then they've got this terrible idea that if you don't have their license and stuff, they want to either prevent you, I guess, from being able to go to the doctor unless you're dependent on someone else. Well, depends, right? I don't know. It just, they want people to be dependent on the government. They take natural rights and they sell them to the people and say, here, you pay for your right to do things, right? Pay for your right to buy clothes, or actually pay for your right to have clothes, because it's a, you know, you just, that, you know, they got people using money, and because it's a government issued thing, it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for government. There's just the truth of it. I don't care what anybody tells you about, oh, well, in history they had money before government. No, they didn't. That's a big lie. That's a giant freaking lie. Anyways, now, and that's okay. They want people divided, and some of the best ways to divide people are religion, economically, socially, politically. And of course, they divide people in all kinds of religions. They divide people socially, economically, by profits and losses, and they divide people politically, Republican and Democrat. You know, a divided house cannot stand. What are they talking about? That's why the government always seems to be such a mess, but it's not a mess. The government's not a mess. It's working the way it's supposed to be. I mean, they got people pitted against one, and people stop the extension of their family at a certain point when they say, like we you know how far family goes is when you say, you know, pay and don't pay. Now we may sometimes feel like, you know, I want these people to be family, but because the government issues money, we're forced to make each other pay. But we're not forced at the same time, because all we have to do is together decide that we're just going to stop asking for, talking about, alluding to, giving any indication of, or anything that had to do with the practice of asking for money or any type of, you know, this is just, we're not. All right, where do you keep your? Where do people keep their insurance and registration most of the time? They keep it in the glove box, right? the glove box. They keep it in a glove box. They call it a glove box. They're telling you that, look, if you don't like it, you can go fight in court. Right? That's why your stuff, and they got the glove box for you. These things are in the language, and I don't see them all the time, but I do. Sometimes I do hear, sometimes I hear these things, sometimes I see them. And it's just, if what they say is, hey, what cops say is, our company wrote a book that has all these rules in it, and our laws are your laws. That's why they call them lawyers, right? Our laws are your laws. And if you don't follow the rules that we wrote, because we own you. That's right. Because you wouldn't you wouldn't force other people to follow your laws if you didn't think that you own them. And the cop that says, well, your argument's not with me, it's with the legislator. The legislator is not the one that stands there telling people that they have to do what some book says, like they have no mind of their own and no heart of their own. Anybody can tell you that the law is not a moral thing. But people will actually say, this thing, right? A thing told me what to do. A thing. And they say, that's why they say you do it by the book. By the book, man, by the book. I don't know so much about thinking about by the book. I don't know about that. If I write a book, maybe I'll say buy it for $1 or something like that. But and then I would do it online so that everybody can have it or something. But I would go somewhere and talk, and I would let people pay me to talk while we have this economic system where I can't have things unless people pay me. Okay, I can't acquire, I can't get new things unless people pay me, or things like that. So I would go somewhere and let people pay me to talk to them about certain things, but that's not information that I wouldn't share as free as I could over the internet or in any other way. So that if a person can't, if a person couldn't pay me to come see me talk, or I don't know. I would have to figure out one way or another. I'd have to make some kind of, living if I was wanting to do this. Actually, I would like to do this all the time. I would like to talk about people's freedom and the things that I can see in the language, like the fact that a statute is a thing. All right, I think it comes from the word statute. Maybe comes from the word statue, right? Because it's something set in stone, right? And they say this is the way it is, and it's just the way it has to be, right? Kind of like it's kind of an immovable thing. Sometimes they twist it, and if it benefits them. But what they say is, here it is. So it's a statute, right? Statute set in stone. There it is, right? And that's where the law came from, right? Tablets that were the law in stone. Stone tablets or whatever, clay tablets or whatever it was. And so Madusa did the same. She turned people into stone, right? And she had that hair. She had the hair. And it was all out of snakes, right? And I said this in another video, right? The snakes are called what? Serpents, right? And you can spell sir like this, like they did in England, right? And then pent. That's past tense of pen, writing. And that's what they do with laws, right? They got to write laws. Except, listen to what they say. They say write laws, so you think it's the right thing, but we know that most of the stuff is a bunch of. The first guy they said the first law came from Hammurabi's or something like that, and I noticed the first part of it was ham. I don't ask me what that's supposed to be. You can figure that out on your own. But so here's turning. All right, and that was Madusa, right? Right? Madusa, Mad USA. madusa, or and DC, right? Deceivers, right? The deceivers. Now look at this. Sad, S-A-D, Sadducee. Maybe you've heard of Sadducees, something in the Bible. I don't know what they were exactly, but Sadducees. Serpent, right? Because they're writing laws, and then they issue money. Now, what do serpents have, right? They're either constrictors, like strict, District of Columbia, so the constrictors, Congress, right? And then they issue money. And serpents have venom. Now, look what happens when you do this. Can you see that? Okay, yeah. See, M-O-N-E. What do you see? What do you see? What's that? You know, serpent. The old deceivers, right? The old deceiver. Tell you, it's a free country while they tax you and rule you. Both things are the opposite of free. Being ruled is the opposite of being free, and having to pay is the opposite of being free. Right? So talk about the great Washington deceivers, right? Brain Washington DC. So, yeah, so that's it for that video. We'll talk about tender love on the next one. And think about what tender might be to the government and what tender is to you and me. When we think tender love, right? When the government thinks tender, they think tender dollar. Legal tender, holding me close to you. Oh, tax money here, I surrender. Anyways, I'm here. I'm loving you. And let's talk again soon. Be sure and like and subscribe. Thanks.